Colin, your topic is the final topic. I want to tell you it's from Patreon, obviously. You can get your topic read on patreon.com/kindafunny. But I also want to tell you about the Patreon producer, Salem. I can't ever pronounce his last name.
Salem Ghanem El Ghanem.
And we know it's all wrong. We did the thing where we played the audio files, but I can't remember. So Salem, what up? That's your new name.
Well, it's Ghanem El Ghanem. I mean, that's definitely the way it's pronounced.
Patreon producer on GameOverGreggy show.
So Fraser Cowley had this topic from Patreon. It says, what subject isn't taught in school but should be? That's an interesting topic. Nick, you want to start?
Well, I would just say more video production. We need to start educating youths now that holding the phone this way when you're recording people is completely and totally unacceptable.
Yeah.
Holds it horizontally for the
What
love
I'm
of
thinking
God.
is what they should do is get rid of a portrait option. If you hold it this way, it just records in landscape that way.
That's actually genius.
Come on.
They should just start auto. Yeah, you're right. They should just make phones that the default to the fact that no matter how you're holding it, it's just recording.
Why? I
69.
don't want to see this fucking weird ass.
It gives me more claustrophobia because I'm like, what's happening on the left?
Let me
and
see your
right side
eyes.
of the
I need
screen?
perspective. I don't need to see your belly button.
I especially hate it in porn. I'm like, you're just wasting it all.
Yeah.
When you film it like that.
Are you watching amateur porn? Is that what you?
I watch all sorts of porn.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, and absolutely, you watch amateur porn when you type in amateur into the search.
But they're always like this.
You're guaranteed type in amateur porn. It's gonna get you some amateurs
All the time. And some of them are really well lit and produced with multiple cameras. It's crazy how much
always
these
have the
amateurs
same
can be.
couch and always have they're always there for the same calendar shoot. The guy wearing the same freaking khakis, the same undone belt,
Yeah, he's
the
just
same
like,
blurry
hey.
face.
Oh yeah, guys. Yeah. I know that guy. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's taught in school anymore. Obviously, like I don't have any siblings or friends that are still going to either college or high school. I just don't know anyone. So I don't know if they're teaching. I assume they teach multiple classes on like social media and video production. Like it's just a brave new
There's
world
not a
now.
social media class.
I mean, they're in college,
gotta
there
be,
will
right?
be, but like not in high school. I kind of take this as a high school and below.
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah.
question.
Well, then-
they teach fucking. There's a Simpsons class, and it's like fuck you. Like get the hell out of here.
But that's my thing too. Is like I always wanted to see more. Obviously, I went to UC, so I didn't go to a trade school. But I always wanted to see more practical courses being taught, courses that could actually like affect people's lives on a practical basis. So like things like video production, things like YouTube production, things like social media management, because those are relevant careers now. Like people are literally going into community management and social media, things like that, and they have experience with it. So it would be interesting to see how that could be like responsibly taught to people as they're coming up in the world.
Yeah. See, that's interesting. I feel like that is almost too in depth because that's when you get to college when it's like, let's get into what we're actually doing. I maybe like a little bit of a, here's like intro to whatever, just so you can like kind of have an idea of what you might want to do. But then all the fun ones are going to get taken and you're going to get stuck in Shakespeare anyway. So it doesn't matter. But I think that the important thing would just be like how to be an adult. Make that a class because they make that and they do it in kind of, I forgot what they call it. There was home
economics
and whatever, and then kind of they lightly kind of teach you how to do taxes.
Or you're trying to
and there's health.
Don't
and
get STDs or
and then
STIs.
Driver's ed was a thing. Like all that, I feel like they could do a better job, and I feel like they can like market it a little bit better to make it sound more fun and like really be like. Real talk, this is going to be the most important class you take. And if you do this, you'll succeed in stuff.
And see, that's the thing. When I'm thinking, I'm with you, right? Like the adult class. I can't remember the name of what we called it too, but similar to like, whatever. And it was taught by like the gym teacher. Like clearly this guy's not invested.
Exactly.
There's like some workbook you're working off of like, here's
that.
how taxes will work and you need to budget money for laundry or whatever. It's like, what the fuck?
Like, no. Give me a fun teacher that makes this fun and it's like teaches you how to scheme, teaches you how to be an actual successful person, how to actually deal with things. Yeah, like how to like think about like internships and jobs and stuff, not in a way that's really like you go to college and then you do. It's like no, give me the broader spectrum of like what I'm looking at my next 10 years because I didn't have any idea.
I wish I had that adulting course like that for sure that taught you like the ins and outs of and made it interesting. I'm sure I know people tried, but I still distinctly remember Mr. Lynch reading the newspaper or whatever when we were all right, we're done early today, guys. Go do what the fuck are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, that's fascinating though because that's what that theoretically is supposed to be kind of what high school guidance counselors are supposed to do. But an entire class about that, even like maybe the last quarter of your senior year would be very, very cool. I'm sure there are things like that, but I would have benefited greatly if they were like, hey, you're just going to dedicate an hour every week or hour. I guess it's every day in high school, right? I was like, how does that work? College would be an hour.
Some classes,
hour
right? That not necessarily every day.
High school's a daily
everyday thing. Yeah. It would be fascinating. You're going to dedicate an hour a day just to figuring out what you want to do in life and like figure out how to do it best. And like this is the way the world works. Like this is how like not economics as in like gross domestic product, things like that. And you're trying to just literally like this is how this company makes money. Like if you want to go into tech, these are how these companies make money. This is the kind of the path that you would need to go to do that, or you want to go into something else or language, yada yada yada.
I mean, even just the idea of a week focusing on what different jobs are out there.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, all right, cool. There's lawyers and doctors and astronauts, I guess.
Still.
Right. But like, what are the other things? What does it mean to be a manager? What does it mean to, be a sales associate? Like, no one taught me about sales in high school. I wish they fucking did. I'd be a shark now.
You'd own Salesforce.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be your building. They're building out there. It's making everything lean over.
Do you remember? You don't remember. You guys remember when they taught you in class how to fucking balance a checkbook or whatever? Even then, I'm like, this is stupid. Like, there's got to be better use of my time than doing this debits and credits thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, back then you had to because we didn't have online banking.
I feel like we were getting close to being done with it anyway.
Probably.
I never filled in a check registry. I was never doing that level of check.
No, me neither. I remember
where I was like,
that's so confused by that when I was a kid. And like, who's really like I still don't understand how banking works before
My
computers.
mom still does that, by the way. My mom still, I think, keeps that check registry and like balances it every month.
Banking was super complicated before computers. It's more complicated now in its own way. But two things come to mind for this particular question, Fraser Cowley. One is that I think art and music needs to be taught way more. And way more seriously. It's always been like this throwaway kind of thing. You can do music band or whatever, you play in band, and like when you're a kid, you have like your music class once or twice a week, and then you know everyone's playing this fucking triangle or something like that. But I'm talking about in high school, like
everyone's playing.
I really think that like playing an instrument should be compulsory in high school and middle school, and that it enriches your life, and it teaches you a lot of valuable skills. It teaches you how to study. It teaches you a lot of math. And all that kind of stuff. And I love to see a society that like where everyone, even you drop it, maybe not very good at the saxophone, not very good at the clarinet, but like everyone tries and tries to enrich their life in that way. And it's not just this throwaway thing that 10% of the people are really passionate about, no one else wants to do. And the same thing for art. And I do have a skin in the game, I guess, with this because my sister and my sister-in-law are both art teachers, but, I feel like things that enrich your mind and make you think and make you be creative, because I don't really feel like middle school and high school are creative places at all. Like I think that like it's learn this and take this test and study for your SATs. It's all fucking boring and it's terrible. And like people should look forward to these particular activities in a way that not just like throw away 45 minutes with your friends, but like that can like show you or teach you a skill or expand your mind in a way that math doesn't and it's simply not able to. That learning grammar is simply not able to. And
there's got to be a way to do it. You're on to something. You say, but you use the word make be creative or whatever. And that's the whole thing. Like even when I'm trying to be creative, like you get writer's block or I can't do the video the way I want. Like it's so hard. Like as somebody who's no interest in a musical instrument, I mean, I did saxophone in school, right? Because again, I wanted to try something different, do whatever. But like. I don't know how you do that and make it feel if they don't have it. I feel like those are such passion projects. I feel like there's got to be some put aside the hour-long class period, the period that people have a chance to find creative endeavors that do it, and then go to the art class, go to the school.
Do something to like make people be more creative. Because I really feel. I remember I took like computer graphics and like Boner Jams, yeah. And why can't I think of it? It's like sculpting and stuff like that, like weird class like that. And they weren't. I remember Mr. What was his name? Mr. Uzi actually was his name, I think.
Did he invent the teacher named Mr. Uzi?
Yeah. He actually passed away when I was in college. He was a nice guy, but I just feel like everything is so by the books and by the numbers, sometimes literally. And actually, I think back at my about some of my, like when I was 10th, 11th, 12th grade, I took a series of AP classes. And I remember specifically in AP literature having this question of like an AP composition where I'm like, now I'm a writer and I'm interested in this, and writing is important. We all learn how to read and write when we're very young. It's a very important kind of thing. But writing at this level isn't important. So why am I doing this? But like we're not told to like try to paint or try to play an instrument. It's kind of the same thing at that level. Like we all know how to read and write. The guy who's going to go be a plumber, which is a not noble profession and a great profession, an important profession, doesn't need to know how to compose a fucking piece of prose. But we're doing that, and we're forcing that down everyone's throat. That's even in the SATs. But like, music and art is like what makes us human.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the universe regardless of the species we run into, they're all going to work off the same numbers, the same math. It's all universal. But like our art and our music and things like that make us human. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're hitting another touchstone of just what it's a little bit different. What subject should be taught? It's like, how should people be taught?
Yeah.
You were taught, at least in my upbringing until I got to college, and I fucking loved college because finally I was taking classes that I'm like, I'm going to apply this to what I do. This matters to my future. I can see point A to point B. But like, you learn material to pass tests. That's the way it is. And like I always joke around with Jen now where I took a ton of French, and I should be able to speak a lot more French, but I don't. And when I want to conjugate a verb, I sing the fucking song in my head to conjugate the verb because that's how I learned to do it. I don't know how to do it. I learned how to pass the test when they were going to be like, how would you conjugate this if it was plural formal?
Yeah, it was awful. Dude, I took French. I mean, same you. 8 years I took French. 8 years. 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and actually 2 years of college, so 7 years. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's an embarrassing thing. The second thing that I think is actually really important, that's kind of the antithesis of what I was just saying, was people are absolutely moronic with money in this society. Like, people have no idea how to like manage their finances. It's embarrassing to watch like young people whittle their money away. 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds just, all right, I had $100 in my pocket. It was gone. Like, I was like, I don't give a flying fuck. I used to buy video games left, right, and center. I never even opened because I just wanted things. And it would have been cool for someone to sit down apart from accounting and all that kind of stuff, or home ec or whatever, where it was like what you were talking about, where it's like someone needs to sit you down and be like, guys and girls, like, money's really fucking important, and you have no idea how important it is and how it's going to dictate everything you do in your life. And we're going to sit you down now for an entire year, and we're going to really go over like how to deal with your finances, how to invest your money, how to bank, how to save, when to spend, what a stock is, what a bond is, what a 401k is, what, like, that shit I think is actually essential.
Tim and I could have really used those classes.
I mean, you're pretty much saying exactly what I'm talking about. Like, that is how to be a fucking adult. All that means is, here's the things you actually need to know. I don't need to know how to do cursive. You're teaching me this shit. I do need to know what a 401k is and why it's so fucking important.
Or why it's not important. No, I mean,
exactly.
Like, going back to someone else's earlier question, I think it was yours. Do we? God, I want to touch so bad. Teaching like people, like revamping how people learn, I think is the most important thing, because I just don't think that high school and higher education really speaks to how people learn things today. Like, when I think about all the technical skills that I have, that everything that I use today to make money, to put food on my table, to pay rent, things like that, none of them really came from those years. Obviously, they made me the person that was able to accept all that training later in life, but I learned a lot more of it by doing things, or by searching the things out that I loved myself. And so I almost think it would be fascinating, like, when people go to college, for the very first thing for them to do is have to sit in a room for an entire day with just a giant computer screen in front of them and a shitload of links of things. And just be like, Wikipedia, like, where am I going to go, and what am I? Oh wait, and then let it naturally just flow out of like what they like to do, and what they find interesting, and then boom, that's kind of a track you're going to go in. Because I just don't buy the concept of like, you have to take these. Like, I had to take Italian, I had to take a language in college, and I fucking hated it. And spoilers, I didn't do very well in it because I just didn't care. And then when I got into film, I'm like, oh, I got straight A's, of course, because I love this, But like, forcing me to take Boolean algebra, forcing me to take all these other classes that I'm like, what the fuck possible? Like, I'm never going to need this stuff. I'm not even going to remember it. It just seems almost like college is less about teaching people and more about just being a business and getting people's money and getting them hooked on student loans and things like that. And I just think it's fucking ridiculous.
Well, it is. I mean, it's going to be a controversial thing to say, but like, the fact of the matter is, like, the American education system has failed. The Department of Education has failed. State and local levels have failed. And if people want improved outcomes, you better privatize education real quick and start investing in these satellite schools and in these schools that do things differently. Not just private schools, but taking tax money and putting them into schools that maybe were once public but should be privatized, where teachers are accountable, where things are like going to happen, where like, and I really do believe it's a place by place and state by state basis, which is why I think the Department of Education shouldn't even exist. In a farming community in Wyoming, you might need to know different things than you need to know in New York City. And that's okay. That doesn't make one person stupider or one person more intelligent. Sure. It's just like, this thing, like in an agricultural society where these people maybe not be going to college in great numbers, they need to know certain things, and that's okay. It shouldn't be coming from a bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. telling you every child in America, all 100 million of you, have to, learn this, and this. It doesn't work, and that's why, like, the proof's in the pudding. Our education system sucks. You know,
I mean, what you're talking about is practicality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I hated geometry, and I was always borderline failing it in high school because I fucking despised it. Didn't ever want to learn it. Didn't want to know it. And to this day, once I got out of that, by the skin of my teeth, got out of Mrs. Kolzinski's class, right? I've never fucking worried about acute whatever the fuck, or acute triangles and this and how this, these theorems that, again, you wrote on a note card. You have a note card for the test. You can write what's the fucking point? I'm just plugging this shit in. It's not a passion. I'm not going to use
No,
it.
it's stupid. I struggle with math a lot too. And in college, I think I told you guys that, I found myself in calculus, and then I was like, fuck this. And then I dropped the class and I picked up pre-calculus, and I'm like, nope. And then I only needed one math class as a history major. So my sophomore year, I'm like, dude, guys, I went to my counselor. I'm like, I'm an American history major. Like, I don't know what the fuck any of this is. I don't understand. They're like, we got the class for you. And it ended up being,
Was it stats?
no, it wasn't statistics.
No.
It ended up being like a remedial math class for humanities majors.
Oh,
and they literally, basically, just let you cheat in the class. They like you went to a classroom. Everyone sat in these like blocks and did everything together. It was I met a few of my friends. Like it was like one girl was like a sign language major. One was like a history guy. One was in politics and stuff. We were all like, it was literally just like we could check that box. It was a waste of time and money.
Not necessarily though, because the thing is this, like that's
how things work.
That's how things work.
That's life.
There's a validity to that. And I was gonna say earlier, I was like, what if, I'm just spitballing here, but what if your entire freshman year was just like every quarter you just had to do something new, like you had to go out into the workforce or something, and it was just internship based, or like your senior year, because I think this is more closely what the Europeans do, or like where like you take time off, you work in between high school and college, so you can actually figure out what the fuck you want to do. But like there's just not a lot of theory being taught, but there's not a lot of practical knowledge that you're actually, like when you leave high school, you don't fucking know how the world works unless you had a job, in which case you know how to sling fast food, or in my case, make pizza or something. That
You
actually,
make a great pizza,
but
for the record.
I do make a great pizza. And guess what? I still fucking know how to make that pizza. Because I did that for an entire summer, and I was like, this is kind of fun. I like it. And now I know how to make a fucking dope-ass pizza pie. So, and that was the thing too, is when I look back on my college career, I wish I had interned more. I wish I had gotten out there more and just got on set and did all these things, because the amount of shit you learn when you're actually forced to versus when someone's trying to cram it down your throat, or like when you're in an environment that fosters learning, like a film production set, and you're like, holy shit, I just saw, look at this cool image. How did you make that? Like, I want to ask all these questions now because I'm curious. That's way more important, and it's probably way more beneficial. It's going to stick with you way more than anything you learn in a
Absolutely.
classroom.
I mean, I remember even in school, I've always liked writing, and I liked the creativity of it. And I remember being in school, I was like, oh man, I hate math, I hate science, I hate all this shit, but I love writing. I was like, but I wish I could just make movies or videos, not movies, but videos. Like I wish it was my homework assignment to make videos. And once I got my internship at IGN, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, fuck writing, man. I get to just do videos.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And it's like, once you hit that and once you find your passion, you're like, why do any of this other stuff? Yeah. Although I will give a shout out to, especially like up to through high school, I think it's important that you learn how to follow the rules and you learn how to do the things that you don't want to do, because life isn't about just doing things you want to do.
I understand and I agree with you, but I think there's more practical math that could have helped me. You know what I mean? Rather than a geometry course in high school, why wasn't I taking a course that was about investment, managing my money, this? And there was... I remember Mr. Diablo
Mr. Diablo?
No,
Mr. Jesus Diablo.
Something with a D. I forget his name or whatever.
Diablo.
El Diablo. But I remember there was some, not stats course, but some accounting-like course where we're doing credits and debits and this, that. But it wasn't practical, and here's what you need to know and why you need to know it and how this is going to help you. It's like you're running a paper shop, and how much paper should you buy?
Yeah, it's all very silly. But I agree with Tim. Like, well, that's what they always say about college. The reason that like you have to take this very, generalist kind of approach to college for the most part is because it's basically a college degree is basically just proof that you can do something.
Yeah, sure.
And the to your point, I mean, the reason Northeastern is so prolific is the academics are good, but actually the reason Northeastern is so huge is because of the co-oping system, which is exactly what you're talking about. At Northeastern, you have to spend 5 years there. It's not a 4-year school. Now I did it in 4 years because I like doubled up on stuff, but there's a year called middler year in between sophomore and junior year at Northeastern, where they're like, bye-bye, and you go get a job.
That's awesome.
And you can still live in student housing, and a lot of people do or whatever, but and Northeastern has this prolific connections to all these companies. So if you're an accountant or whatever, then they're like, all right, these are the companies you need to talk to. You're going to go work there for a year. And then you're going to come back. And I know plenty of people that did that. I did that at Massachusetts Historical Society. But I did that while I was going to school because it wasn't as intensive. But I knew people that had full-time jobs making literally, this was the crazy thing. I remember, God, with my girlfriend at the time, but also my roommate, Doug, worked at EMC, the big technology company. He's a lawyer now, but he was doing engineering at the time, and he was making like $75,000 a year, like when he was like 20 or 21 years old. And then and it was like, and it gave you like a taste of like, and they hoard their money and stuff like that. But middle of the year at North, like, so when you look at Northeastern, it's like, yeah, the academics are great, all that kind of stuff. But the reason it's like in the 20s or 30s in the country right now is because the co-op system is number one, because people that go there are forced to go into the wild and work, and then they have a much better chance of getting a job as a result of that. So it goes to what you're talking about and like what the special sauce is at that school that I didn't quite take full advantage of, but a lot of people did.
And it's genius too, because in the school as a business, they're getting even more money out of you.
Yeah,
sucked it into a whole other year.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you're paying for, you don't pay for your classes, but you're paying for your room and board and for your advisor and stuff like that. So it is genius because it is a private school. But that was always what was so cool about it. And I know a lot of people that really got a great head start based on what you're talking about. I didn't so much, take full advantage of it. I was just transcribing things, but a lot of people got great work experience. And I know a lot of people that still work at the companies they worked at when they were 20.
That's great. And that's the way it should be. Because it shouldn't be that fucking hard to get jobs. Like, it shouldn't be this hard to like figure out what you want to do in the world, right? I think, and there is something, in my opinion, to be said for like decision paralysis, where you're just given too many fucking options. It's like, you should just funnel it to a path. That's all.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy show each and every week. 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bringing a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where we put the shows up early and give you exclusive perks, access, and goodies, all for a few bucks. But if you got no bucks to toss, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we post the show topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big video in MP3 for your enjoyment. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.